Welcome back to Burden Bearing Coaching Corner. Today I'd like to just share with you a quick story that I heard many years ago, and I think as we come into this Thanksgiving, Christmas season, it's a story that for us in 2017 can still be a great reminder of how important it is, not just in this season, but every day, to be very mindful and aware of wanting to add value to others, because we never really know the reach that our love and our bringing our gifts into others' lives might have. So let me read the story. I think it speaks for itself. And then we'll just kind of see how that might impact you and me as we move forward in our lives. The title of the story is Little Annie. Before the turn of the 20th century, an asylum in the suburbs of Boston housed severely retarded and disturbed individuals. One of the patients was a girl who was simply called Little Annie. She was totally unresponsive to others in the asylum. The staff tried everything possible to help her, yet without success. Finally, she was confined to a cell in the basement of the asylum and given up as hopeless. I hope and pray that we don't do this anymore today, but I'm sure in parts of the world, sadly, that is still the case. Thankfully, in this particular case, there was a Christian woman who worked at the asylum, and she believed that every one of God's creatures needed love, concern, and care. So she decided to spend her lunch hours in front of little Annie's cell, reading to her and praying that God would free her from the prison of silence. Day after day, the Christian woman came to little Annie's door and read, but the little girl did not respond. Months went by. The woman tried to talk with little Annie, but it was like talking to an empty cell. She brought little tokens of food for the girl, but they were never received. Then one day, a brownie was missing from the plate the caring woman retrieved from little Annie's cell. Encouraged, she continued to read to her and pray for her. Eventually, the little girl began to answer the woman through the bars of her cell. Soon the woman convinced the doctors that little Annie needed a second chance at treatment. They brought her up from the basement, continued to work with her. Within 2 years, little Annie was told that she could leave the asylum and enjoy a normal life. The story doesn't end there. You see, she chose not to leave. She was so grateful for the love and the attention that she had been given by this dedicated Christian woman that she decided to stay and love others as she had been loved. So little Annie stayed on at the institution to work with other patients who were suffering as she had suffered. Nearly a half-century later, the Queen of England held a special ceremony to honor one of the most inspiring women in the United States, Helen Keller. When asked to what she would attribute her success at overcoming the dual handicap of blindness and deafness, Helen Keller replied, "If it hadn't been for Anne Sullivan, I wouldn't be here today." Anne Sullivan, who tenaciously loved and believed in an incorrigible blind and deaf girl named Helen Keller, was little Annie. Because one selfless woman in the dungeon of an insane asylum believed that a hopeless little girl needed God's love, the world received the marvelous gift of Helen Keller. We don't know this Christian woman's name. God does. You may feel like, what does my life really matter? What kind of a difference am I really making? But that's the point. When you live your life for others and want to give and want to serve and add value to them, you never really know how far that might reach. So I encourage you in this season, don't give up hope. Add values to others. Love the unlovable. Bring what you can. not from what you don't have, but from what you do have, who you are. Be who you are. Love others and add value to their life. May God bless. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. May the new year be filled with great blessing and joy in your life. Thank you for joining me, Burn Bearing Coaching Corner.